My mom gave my $5.2 million company to my sister. "12 years, no help, no praise. I walked away from everything. They couldn't do it without me. I didn't win. I chose myself." You know that moment when your entire world just shatters? Yeah, I had mine on a Tuesday. A perfectly ordinary Tuesday that started with coffee and ended with my mother handing my 12-year-old business, my baby, my entire life's work, to my sister Rachel on a silver platter. Just like that. 12 years. Gone. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up, because this story, this absolute train wreck of family dysfunction and poetic justice, it needs context. It needs you to understand exactly how I got here, standing in my childhood kitchen watching my mother destroy everything I'd built while smiling like she was doing me a favor. My name's Lena Martinez, and I started Blue Sky Marketing when I was 26 years old, fresh out of grad school, drowning in student loans, living in a studio apartment where the bathroom door didn't close all the way. I had 2 clients, a beat-up laptop, and this insane dream that I could build something real, something mine. My sister Rachel? She was 28, married to her high school sweetheart Jake, already pregnant with her first kid. And from day one, from the very first day I told my family about Blue Sky, my mom had this look, this disappointed, worried look, like I'd just announced I was joining the circus. "Marketing, mija?" Mom said, stirring her coffee slowly, deliberately. "That's very uncertain. Rachel's becoming a teacher. That's stable. That's a real career." And there it was, the beginning of a pattern that would define the next 12 years of my life. Rachel was the golden child, the one who did everything right, got married young, had babies, bought a house in the suburbs with Jake. Meanwhile, I was the family project, the one they worried about, the strong one who could handle anything, which really meant the one they could ignore because I'd figure it out on my own. But here's the thing nobody tells you about being the strong one in your family. It's lonely as hell. While Rachel got help with her down payment, I was pulling all-nighters, teaching myself SEO, cold calling businesses until my voice went hoarse. While Mom flew out to help with Rachel's kids every time she sneezed, I was building spreadsheets and pitching clients and learning how to code basic websites because I couldn't afford to hire anyone. And I didn't complain. Never complained. Because that's what the strong one does, right? You just handle it. Year 3, I hired my first employee, Sarah, a graphic designer who took a chance on my tiny startup. Year 5, we moved into an actual office. Nothing fancy, but it had a door that locked and windows that opened. Year 7, we landed our first major client, a tech company that paid us in 1 month than I'd made the entire first year. I remember calling Mom so excited I could barely breathe, and you know what she said? "That's wonderful, honey. Rachel's pregnant with number 3, can you believe it?" Click. Just like that. My biggest professional win reduced to an afterthought before we pivoted to Rachel's life. But I kept going, because that's what you do when you're building something real. You push through the family dinners where everyone asks Rachel about her kids, but nobody asks about your business. You smile when your dad introduces you as our daughter who does something with computers, while Rachel gets our daughter the teacher who's raising 3 beautiful grandchildren. You internalize that somehow your success is less valid because it doesn't involve a husband and babies and a white picket fence. By year 10, Blue Sky Marketing had 23 employees and annual revenue of $3.7 million. We'd won industry awards. I'd been featured in business magazines. I bought a condo downtown, all exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. I was dating a great guy named Marcus, who actually understood why I worked weekends sometimes. Life was good. No, life was better than good. Life was proof that I'd made the right choice, taken the right path, even if my family never quite got it. Then came year 12, last year, the year everything changed. We hit 5.2 million in revenue. 5.2 million. I'm not even talking profit yet, just revenue, and it was glorious. We'd expanded into 3 new markets, launched a proprietary analytics platform, and I had venture capitalists sniffing around, talking about acquisition offers that would set me up for life. I was 38 years old, at the absolute peak of my career, and I finally felt like maybe, just maybe, my family would see me, really see me, see what I'd built from nothing. Christmas dinner, I announced it. The whole family gathered at Mom and Dad's house in Phoenix. Rachel and Jake with their 3 kids, me and Marcus, my younger brother Tommy, who just graduated college. I stood up, glass of wine shaking slightly in my hand, and I told them, 5.2 million, industry recognition, possible acquisition. My voice cracked when I said how proud I was, how far we'd come. The table went quiet for a second, and I thought, this is it. This is the moment they finally get it. Dad cleared his throat, smiled this tight smile. That's impressive, Lena, really. But you know what? All that success is great, but don't forget what really matters. Family, legacy. Rachel's giving us grandchildren. That's the real wealth. Marcus squeezed my hand under the table, probably the only thing that kept me from walking out right then. Rachel just smiled, that serene, satisfied smile of someone who's always been told they're doing everything right. And Mom looked at me with what I swear was pity. Pity. Like I was some workaholic spinster who missed the point of life entirely. But I swallowed it down, smiled, changed the subject. Because that's what you do when you're the strong one. You don't make waves. You don't demand recognition. You just keep proving yourself, hoping someday it'll be enough. Spoiler alert, it's never enough. Fast forward to March, early March, that fateful Tuesday I mentioned. Mom called, asked me to come over for lunch, just us, said she wanted to discuss something important about the family. I figured maybe she was sick, maybe Dad was sick, something serious that needed the responsible daughter to help fix. I showed up with flowers, my stomach in knots, prepared for bad news. Instead, I walked into an ambush. Rachel was there, sitting at the kitchen table with this weird, nervous energy. Mom made her famous enchiladas, my favorite, which should have been my first clue something was off. She only makes them when she needs something or feels guilty. We ate, made small talk about the weather and Tommy's new job, and then Mom cleared her throat. That same throat clear from Christmas, the one that precedes something you won't want to hear.
Mija, I need to talk to you about something. About Blue Sky. My heart stopped. We've been thinking, your father and we've talked to Rachel, and we think it's time for a change, a transition. I just stared at her, fork halfway to my mouth. Rachel's been feeling unfulfilled, you know? Teaching is wonderful, but she's always had an entrepreneurial spirit, and with the kids getting older, she wants something more, something of her own. The room started spinning. I put my fork down carefully, like it was made of crystal. Mom, what are you saying? Rachel jumped in, her voice too bright, too eager. We think it would be amazing if I could take over Blue Sky, run it, you know? You've done such an incredible job building it, but Lena, you're burning out. We can all see it. You need a break, and I could really use this opportunity. The kids are expensive, and Jake's job is good, but not great, and this could be perfect for our family. I laughed, actually laughed, this sharp, disbelieving sound that echoed off Mom's kitchen tiles. You want to what? Take over my company? The company I built from scratch? Are you insane? Mom's face hardened, and there it was, that look I knew so well. Disappointed, frustrated, like I was being difficult for no reason. Don't be dramatic, Lena. We're not asking you to give it away. We're asking you to share, to think about family. Rachel has 3 children to support. You're single, no kids, you've made plenty of money. This is about legacy, about keeping success in the family. Single, she said it like a diagnosis, like my lack of husband and children somehow invalidated everything I'd achieved. I'm not single, Mom. Marcus and I have been together for 2 years, and even if I were, what does that have to do with anything? Blue Sky is my company, mine. I built it. Every client, every employee, every dollar of revenue is because I worked my ass off for 12 years while you all acted like it was a hobby. Rachel's eyes filled with tears, her go-to move since we were kids. Why do you have to be so selfish? I'm your sister. I'm asking for help. I'm drowning, Lena. 3 kids, a mortgage, student loans for my teaching degree. Jake might get laid off. We need this. And you have everything. You don't understand what it's like to struggle. The rage that filled me in that moment, white hot and overwhelming, is something I'd never felt before. Selfish? She called me selfish? The sister who'd never asked them for a dime, never needed their help, never burdened them with my problems. I was selfish for wanting to keep what I'd built? But here's where it gets truly insane. Mom reached into her purse, pulled out a folder, and slid it across the table. We've already talked to our lawyer. Your father and I own 30% of Blue Sky through that initial investment we made. My blood ran cold. What investment? Mom blinked, confused. The $5,000 we gave you when you started, remember? You said you'd pay us back, and we said to consider it an investment instead. That makes us partners, Lena. $5,000? I'd paid them back 3 years later, but they'd convinced me to call it an investment for tax purposes, said their accountant recommended it. I never formalized it, never got paperwork. It was family. You trust family. That doesn't give you 30% of a $5.2 million company, Mom. That's not how this works. But she was already shaking her head, and I saw it in her eyes. She'd made up her mind, maybe made it up weeks ago, maybe months. This wasn't a discussion, it was a done deal. We've talked to several lawyers, and with the way the initial agreement was structured, we have a case. But we don't want to go to court, Lena. We're family. So here's what we're proposing. You transfer operational control to Rachel. She runs Blue Sky, you stay on as a consultant, and everyone wins. You get to relax, take time for yourself, maybe finally settle down. Rachel gets a career opportunity. The family stays together. I looked at Rachel, really looked at her, and for the first time in my life, I saw it clearly. She wasn't nervous. She was excited, eager. She wanted this, wanted to waltz into my life's work and take credit for everything I'd built. And if I say no, Mom's voice went cold. Then we'll pursue our legal claim, tie up the company in court for years, drag your name through the mud, make it ugly. Or you can be reasonable, be the bigger person, put family first for once. For once, as if I hadn't been putting family first my entire life by not asking for help, not burdening them, not demanding they acknowledge my success. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. I need to think about this. I walked out of that house, got in my car, and just drove. Called Marcus, barely coherent, sobbing so hard I had to pull over. He met me at a coffee shop, held my hand while I explained the insanity I'd just experienced. They can't do this, he said, his lawyer brain kicking in. That's not a valid partnership claim. $5,000 doesn't entitle them to anything, especially after you paid it back. But when I consulted with my own lawyer, I got the bad news. Because I'd never formalized the repayment, because we'd kept calling it an investment in family conversations and emails, because I'd been stupid enough to trust that family meant unconditional love and support, they had just enough of a case to make my life hell. They won't win, my lawyer said, but they can drag this out for 2 to 3 years, cost you hundreds of thousands in legal fees, distract you from running the business, tank your reputation with clients who don't want to work with a company in litigation. Sometimes the fight isn't worth winning. And that's when I understood. They knew they wouldn't win. Mom wasn't stupid, but she knew me, knew I'd built Blue Sky with my reputation, my relationships, my credibility, knew a long, ugly legal battle would destroy everything I'd worked for just as surely as handing it over. I had 3 choices: fight and watch my company crumble under the weight of litigation, give them control and watch Rachel run it into the ground, or walk away entirely. I chose door number 3. I called an emergency board meeting, explained the situation to my partners and key employees. Sarah, my first hire, cried, "Don't let them do this to you, Lena. We'll fight with you."
But I was done fighting for scraps of recognition from people who should have been proud of me from day one, done trying to prove I was enough. I negotiated my exit, took a severance package, kept my shares, signed a non-compete for 6 months, and I handed operational control to Rachel. The look on her face when I signed those papers, triumphant and relieved, like she'd won some competition I didn't know we were having, that's burned into my brain. Mom hugged me, actually hugged me, and whispered, "You're doing the right thing. Family comes first. You'll see, this is better for everyone." I moved out of Phoenix 2 weeks later, packed up my condo, loaded everything into a U-Haul, and drove to San Diego. Marcus came with me, bless him, found us an apartment near the beach, helped me unpack, and held me while I cried myself to sleep every night for a month. I blocked my family's numbers, all of them, didn't tell them where I'd gone, just vanished. If they wanted to reach me, they'd have to email, and I wasn't checking those either. For 3 months, I did nothing, slept in, walked on the beach, went to therapy, tried to figure out who I was without Blue Sky, without the company that had defined my entire adult life. Marcus was patient, supportive, everything you'd want in a partner, but I could feel myself dissolving, losing shape, becoming this shapeless, angry thing. The strong one, broken. It was almost funny. Almost. Then came June. Mid-June, a Thursday afternoon. I was sitting on our balcony, coffee in hand, watching the ocean, when Marcus came out holding his laptop. Babe, you need to see this." He pulled up LinkedIn, and there it was. Blue Sky Marketing had posted a job listing for a CEO. They were hiring. My company, my baby, was looking for someone to run it because apparently Rachel couldn't hack it. I dug deeper, breaking my social media blackout for the first time. The company's Instagram was a mess. Posts were inconsistent, design was amateurish, engagement was way down. I called in a favor from a friend in the industry, asked him to dig around quietly. What he told me made my jaw drop. Rachel had lost 4 of our biggest clients within the first month. The team I'd built, the incredible people I'd hired and trained, half of them had quit. She'd tried to implement all these new, innovative strategies that were actually just outdated tactics from 10 years ago. She'd fired Sarah, my first employee, my loyal right hand, for questioning her vision. Revenue had dropped from $5.2 million to projected $2.3 for the year. In 3 months, Rachel had nearly destroyed what took me 12 years to build. And now they were scrambling, trying to hire someone to fix her mess. I laughed until I cried. Marcus looked at me like I'd finally lost it. Maybe I had, but this was karma. Real, poetic, beautiful karma. 3 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number, but I recognized the Phoenix area code. I almost didn't answer. Almost, but curiosity won. "Hello?" Silence. Then, "Lima? Mija, it's Mom." Her voice was small, shaky, nothing like the confident, authoritative tone from 3 months ago. "We need to talk, please, it's important." I could have hung up, should have hung up, but that angry part of me, the part that had been silently raging for 3 months, wanted to hear this. "I'm listening." "Rachel, she's struggling with the company. Things aren't going well, and we thought maybe you could come back, help out, just temporarily, until she gets the hang of things. We'd pay you, of course, a consultant fee. Very generous." I let the silence stretch, thick and heavy. "You want me to come back and fix the mess Rachel made?" Mom's voice cracked. "We made a mistake, okay? Is that what you want to hear? We thought it would work out. Rachel said she understood business, said she could do it, but she's in over her head. Clients are leaving, employees are quitting, we're losing money. Your father and I, we put our retirement savings into this when she needed emergency capital last month. We're going to lose everything if this doesn't turn around." And there it was, the admission, the moment I'd been waiting for my entire life. I was right, they were wrong. Rachel couldn't do it, only I could. "So let me get this straight," I said, my voice perfectly calm. You forced me out of my own company, the company I built from nothing, because you thought Rachel deserved it more, because she has kids, because I'm just selfish single Lena who doesn't understand real struggle. And now, 3 months later, when she's driven it into the ground, you want me to come back and save it, to save her, to save you. Did I get that right? Lena, please, don't be cruel. We're family. We made a mistake, but family forgives. Family helps each other. Your father's health has been bad from the stress. Rachel's barely sleeping. She's having panic attacks. The kids don't understand why mommy's always crying. We need you. There it was again, need. They needed me. After 12 years of treating my success like an inconvenience, like something to be managed or minimized or redirected to Rachel's benefit, now they needed me. Where's Rachel? She can't. She's too upset to talk. Please, Lena, name your price, whatever you want. Control of the company, higher percentage, whatever. Just come back. I took a deep breath, watching the waves crash against the shore outside my window. No. The word hung there, simple and final. What? Lena, you don't understand. We'll lose everything. I laughed, and it sounded harsh even to my own ears. I understand perfectly, Mom. You'll lose everything. But here's what you don't seem to get. It was never yours to lose. You took my company, my life's work, gave it to someone unqualified because you valued her choices more than mine. You said I was selfish for wanting to keep what I built, that I needed to think about family, about legacy. Well, this is me thinking about legacy, my legacy, and it doesn't include bailing out people who never believed in me in the first place. Mom started crying, actually sobbing. Please, Mija, I'm begging you. We're sorry. I'm sorry. Your father's sorry. Rachel's sorry. We were wrong. Doesn't that count for something? It should have. That's the thing. It should have counted for something. But I thought about every family dinner where my accomplishments were footnotes to Rachel's life updates. Every time Mom flew out to help her but was too busy when I needed something. Every subtle message that my path was less valuable, less meaningful, less worthy of celebration, and I felt nothing, just a cold, clear certainty. Tell Rachel good luck with the job search. I'm sure there are plenty of qualified CEOs who'd love to take on a sinking ship, but it won't be me. Lose my number. I hung up, blocked it immediately. Marcus was staring at me, eyes wide. Damn, babe, that was cold. I shrugged. I learned from the best. My family's been giving me the cold shoulder my whole life. I'm just finally returning the favor. But here's the thing about revenge. It doesn't feel like you think it will. I thought I'd feel triumphant, vindicated, satisfied. Instead, I felt empty, hollow, because no matter how right I was, they were still my family, my mom, my sister, and I just condemned them to financial ruin out of spite. Marcus saw it on my face. Second thoughts? I shrugged. No, but that doesn't mean it feels good. Over the next 2 weeks, the calls and emails didn't stop. Dad tried, his voice gruff but desperate. Tommy called, angry that I was punishing the whole family for Mom and Rachel's mistake. Old family friends reached out, trying to guilt me into helping. Through mutual contacts, I heard Rachel had a full breakdown, was on medical leave from what was left of her teaching job, that Mom and Dad had to take out a second mortgage, that they were selling the house I grew up in, to cover debts. And I held firm, didn't respond, didn't engage. Because the thing about being the strong one, the thing nobody tells you, is that eventually you have to choose yourself. You have to set a boundary and hold it, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Sarah, my former employee, reached out through LinkedIn. I heard what happened, what they did to you. I just want you to know, half the team wants to jump ship. We only stayed this long hoping you'd come back. But if you're done, we're done too.
That's when the idea hit me. I still had my contacts, my reputation, my skills, and a non-compete that was about to expire in 2 weeks. What if I didn't go back to Blue Sky? What if I started over?
built something new, something better, something entirely mine that no one could take away. I called Sarah. How many of the old team would be willing to jump ship if I started a new agency? Her answer was immediate. All of us, every single one. We've been waiting for this call. In 3 weeks, I launched Catalyst Marketing, poached 15 of Blue Sky's best employees, reached out to former clients, the ones who'd left Rachel's chaos. Within a month, we had 8 clients signed. Within 2 months, we'd matched what Blue Sky was currently making. By month 3, we'd surpassed them. And here's the beautiful part, the part that still makes me smile. We weren't just competing with Blue Sky, we were destroying them. Every client they pitched, we pitched better. Every employee they tried to hire, we hired first. I was ruthless in a way I'd never been before because I had nothing left to lose. My family had already taken everything from me. Now I was taking it back with interest. Sarah became my COO. Marcus helped with legal structure, making damn sure this time everything was ironclad. No family investments, no ambiguous partnerships, just clean, clear ownership. Mine. 4 months after I'd hung up on Mom, I got an email from Rachel. Subject line, "I'm so sorry." I almost deleted it without reading. Almost. But curiosity won again. The email was long, rambling, filled with apologies and explanations and excuses. How she'd been jealous of me her whole life. How Mom had convinced her she deserved Blue Sky because she'd sacrificed her career for kids. How she'd had no idea what she was doing and was too proud to admit it. How everything had fallen apart and they'd lost the house and she and Jake were living in a rental and her marriage was falling apart from the stress. How she'd tried to sell Blue Sky but nobody wanted it in its current state. How they'd ended up shutting it down, selling off assets, declaring bankruptcy. The company I'd built, the thing I'd poured 12 years of my life into, was dead. Destroyed, gone, because they thought they could do better, because Mom had valued potential grandchildren over actual achievement, because I was the strong one who'd figure it out, who didn't need protection or support or recognition. Rachel's email ended with a plea, not for money, not for help, but for forgiveness, for understanding, for a chance to rebuild our relationship. "I know I don't deserve it," she wrote. "I know I destroyed everything, but you're my sister, your family, and I miss you. We all miss you. Please, Lena, please come home." I stared at that email for an hour, read it 3 times, cried. Because here's the truth nobody wants to admit in these revenge stories. Winning doesn't feel like winning when the people you've beaten are people you used to love, when the business you've destroyed was once your baby, when the family begging for forgiveness is the family you grew up with, the people who taught you how to ride a bike and helped with homework and threw you birthday parties. They'd wronged me, absolutely, unequivocally wronged me, and I'd made them pay. But the cost was everything. Our relationship, our family, the last shred of innocence that maybe someday we could fix this. Marcus found me on the couch, tears streaming down my face, laptop open to Rachel's email. "You okay?" I shook my head. They lost everything. Blue Sky's gone. They're broken. And I'm sitting here in our beautiful apartment running a successful company, and all I feel is sad. How messed up is that? He sat beside me, pulled me close. It's not messed up, it's human. You can be right and still grieve. Success doesn't erase family, even family that hurt you. But here's where the story takes its final turn, because 3 days after Rachel's email, I got a call from an unknown number, New York area code this time. "Miss Martinez, this is Jennifer Chen from Apex Capital Group. We're a venture capital firm specializing in marketing and tech acquisitions. We've been following your trajectory with Catalyst Marketing, and we're very impressed. Would you be available for a meeting to discuss potential investment opportunities? Turns out my rapid rebuild hadn't been unnoticed. The speed with which I'd launched Catalyst, poached top talent, stolen major clients, it had made waves in the industry, and now VCs were circling, wanting in on what they saw as the next big thing. Jennifer flew to San Diego, met me and Marcus at a beachside restaurant. She was sharp, direct, no nonsense. Here's the deal. We want to invest $5 million in Catalyst for a 20% stake. Use the capital to expand nationally, open offices in 3 major cities, triple your client base. We think you could hit $15 million in revenue within 2 years, $30 million within 5. We're talking about building an empire, Miss Martinez. The question is, are you ready to think that big? I was. God help me, I was. Because somewhere in those 3 months of grief and rage and rebuilding, I'd found something I didn't know I'd lost. Ambition. Not the quiet, prove-yourself ambition of my 20s, but fierce, unapologetic, take-no-prisoners ambition, the kind that builds empires out of ashes. We signed the deal in August. By September, Catalyst had offices in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. By October, we'd hired 50 employees. By November, we'd landed a contract with a Fortune 500 company that alone was worth $3 million annually. And every step of the way, I thought about Mom's kitchen, that terrible Tuesday. The look on her face when she'd called me selfish for wanting to keep what was mine. Rachel's tears, Dad's disappointed silence, Tommy's accusation that I was punishing everyone. They'd been right, in a way. I was punishing them, but not by refusing to save Blue Sky, by succeeding so spectacularly without them that they'd never be able to pretend my path was the wrong one, by building something so undeniably impressive that even they'd have to acknowledge it. Christmas came around again, 1 year since I'd announced Blue Sky's $5.2 million revenue and been dismissed. I didn't go home, spent it in San Diego with Marcus, his family, and Sarah and her wife. We had wine and sushi and watched bad movies and laughed until our stomachs hurt. And I didn't miss Phoenix, didn't miss the judgment or the comparisons or the subtle ways they'd always made me feel less than. But I did miss what could have been. The family that might have celebrated me instead of trying to use me, the sister who could have been proud instead of jealous, the mother who could have seen both daughters worthy in different ways. On New Year's Eve, I finally responded to Rachel's email, kept it short. I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. What you and Mom did, it wasn't just a mistake, it was a choice that showed me exactly how you see me, how you've always seen me, and I can't unsee that. I hope you rebuild your life. I hope you find success on your own terms, but I won't be part of that journey and you won't be part of mine. Take care of yourself. I hit send before I could second guess it, and then I blocked that email too. Here's what they don't tell you in the business magazines or the motivational Instagram posts. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. Sometimes success is its own revenge, but revenge doesn't heal you. Sometimes you get everything you wanted professionally and still feel the hole where your family used to be. And sometimes, just sometimes, that's okay. Because you can't build an empire on guilt, can't create something beautiful while carrying people who tried to drag you down. At some point, you have to choose your peace or their approval, your dreams or their version of who you should be, your life or the life they mapped out for you before you were old enough to object. I chose me, chose my company, my team, my vision, chose Marcus and the life we're building together, engagement ring currently being designed, future full of possibility, chose the people who believed in me when nobody else did, chose to be selfish because sometimes selfish is just another word for self-preservation. And yeah, it cost me my family, cost me the fantasy that love is unconditional, that parents always have your back, that blood is thicker than water. But you know what?
Blood may be thicker than water, but it's also harder to wash off your hands when it's been used to wound you. Today, January 4th, 2026, Catalyst Marketing is valued at $18 million. We have 73 employees across 4 cities. We're in talks with 2 major firms for acquisition offers that would make me the kind of wealthy where money stops meaning anything. Sarah is my partner now, officially. Marcus and I are planning a spring wedding, small and intimate, just the people who actually love us. And sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep, I think about that Tuesday, that terrible, world-shattering Tuesday when Mom handed my life's work to Rachel and expected me to smile. And I think about how it was the worst day of my life and the best thing that ever happened to me, because it freed me from the need for their approval, from the role of the strong one who sacrifices everything, from the delusion that family means unconditional love instead of conditional tolerance. Did they lose everything? Yeah. Did I feel guilty? Also yeah. Do I regret my choices? Not for a second. Because here's the final truth, the one that makes this whole mess worth it. I'm happy. Genuinely, deeply, authentically happy. I wake up excited about work. I come home to a partner who sees me. I work with people who respect me. I'm building something that matters, something that's mine, something nobody can take away because I learned my lesson. I protect what I build now. Guard it. Make sure every contract is tight, every partnership is clear, every boundary is enforced. And if that makes me hard or cold or unforgiving in their eyes, well, I can live with that. What I can't live with is being small to make them comfortable, being less so they can feel like more. So yeah, my mom gave my $5.2 million business to my sister because she has kids. And 3 months later, they begged me to come back. And I said no. And I built something better, something stronger, something mine. And if you're sitting there right now, dealing with family that doesn't see you, that minimizes your accomplishments, that expects you to sacrifice your dreams for their comfort, here's what I want you to know. You don't owe them your life. You don't owe them your success. You don't owe them the honor of destroying what you've built just because they're blood. Sometimes the family you need isn't the family you're born into. Sometimes you have to burn bridges to see clearly where you're going. And sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's proving to yourself that you were right all along, that you were enough, that you are enough, with or without their approval, with or without their love, just as you are, building the life you want, becoming the person you were meant to be before they told you who you should be instead. That's my story. The business I built, lost, and built again. The family I had, lost, and learned to live without. The revenge I got by refusing to settle for their version of success. And if you're wondering whether it was worth it, whether I'd do it differently if I could go back, the answer is no. I'd do it exactly the same. Because for the first time in my life, I'm not the strong one carrying everyone else. I'm just strong, period. And that's worth more than any family dinner, any mother's approval, any sister's forgiveness. That's worth everything. That's freedom. And nobody, not my mom, not my sister, not anyone, can ever take that away from me again.